Hey guys, last Saturday I went to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Regionals down here in South Florida, put on by Prodigy Games at Florida Atlantic University. I went X4. I didn't play the last game, so I played 7 games. I won 3 of them. I lost 2 of my games just literally due to Mystic Mind Game 1 and not seeing like spell and trap removal sometimes, so I don't really count those as like a loss. But I'm here to bring you guys the actual deck profile that I took last Saturday, and that is actually Zombie World. Zombie World is really good right now. It hurts a lot of decks. It stops Sword Soul from doing like worm synchros, so they have to basically go into certain different lines to get rid of your Zombie World, and if you have ways to out that, then you win. Very similarly with Punk Therion, because their big out, I'd say, for the Zombie World is Amazing Dragon, but they can't do Amazing Dragon bounces because they don't have any Psychics in the graveyard because they're all zombies. And then it also destroys like Tri-Brigade because there's no beasts. They can still link climb. I had that happen to me once because of Mystic Mine. He just stalled enough until he could link climb into access code, and then he just outed his own Mystic Mine, and I couldn't really do anything. But besides that, I'd say Zombie World is in a pretty good place right now, especially with the new support. I had Corpse Dragon popping up a lot in my games. I had the Red Eye Zombie Dragon Lord actually happen a few times due to like Globe Bloom lock, where you're not able to make like a Barone. And it's just good to be able to get at least the Zombie Dragon Lord out, so you can get like a Monster Reborn of like your Baylor or something. But besides that, I'd say that all the cards came in pretty clutch, especially like Corpse Dragon Felgrand. That Banish and the Negate came up so many times, like Monster Reborning it off of the Zombie Dragon Lord, or when I bring back a Baylor on like standby because of Zombie World or a field spell on their field. It was really satisfying, to say the least, to try out these new synchros and just try out the new strategy, like how Zombie is now. Especially with like Chang-Chi. I had Chang-Chi just recur constantly, because you can also banish it off your own Baylor draw and be able to special summon it back to your field. I love the deck. I love what it can do. I'd say it really depends upon your tournament environment. If you have a lot of people playing tribal decks, like Dragon Link or Tri-Brigade, or even like the Punk deck, then Zombie World is great. It just shuts them down. If you're playing Sword Soul, it doesn't really hurt as much. It still stops them. They have to go through different play routes because they can't get worms to the graveyard. But the one deck that didn't stop at all was Brain of Despia. I didn't see any on the tournament in the regionals. I didn't play against any. I had a few people that I knew who were playing Brain of Despia, but I didn't go against a single match with them. I went against like Sky Striker, Punk Therion, Sword Soul, Tri-Brigade, and like just pure Mystic Mine and stuff like that, and just multiples of those decks, and none of those, unfortunately, like, I didn't have the greatest matchups, to say the least, because even with the Tri-Brigade, they were still able to play through a lot of things. What I really wish I had seen during the tournament was a Flunder player, but I didn't see a single Flunder player, because if I had just Zombie Worlded a Flunder player, it would have been my day, because they couldn't out it. But besides that, let's get straight into the deck profile, and I'll show you guys, like, the things that I can do with it. So to start off on the zombies that I was running 3 Unizombie, I was running double Gozuki at the tournament, and I was also running double Shiranui Solitaire. Uni being the best normal summon in the deck, of course. I got hit by Imperm so much at the tournament. I also got hit by a lot of effect failures, so unfortunately the Uni was kind of like dead sometimes. Gozuki being the same, people were less likely to actually imperm my Gozuki than I thought, so that would allow me to at least get Zombie World out by dumping like a Necro World Banshee. And then Solitaire immediately got like imperm the moment that they saw it, because it's kind of like it's like a brick, and I'd say. I only run 2 because of a package that I'm running later, and sometimes, like let's say that I was to normal summon like a Gozuki, and I have like a Solitaire in hand. If I have some way to get one more zombie out, what I could do is just get that zombie out, link off for like a sucker or something, and then I could just activate Gozuki's effect, banishing the other one, going into Solitaire to go into like Unizombie. It was a way that I could bait hand traps, which was pretty useful, I'd say, in the regionals. Unfortunately, like, the only issue that I was having was I would sometimes not see any of these, which means that I had to have draw power to get into the deck, and I'll explain how I did that later on. So those were like I'd say like the 7 starters. I wouldn't run the 3rd Solitaire. Solitaire is just a brick in my opinion. Well, not a brick. It's a great card, but dies to any hand traps. That's why I only run 2 of them. And then the double Gozuki, you could have thrown a third one in, but I didn't have enough space to put in the third, and I feel like 2 is just fine with the way that I built this deck. Then we were also running a triple Meizuki, because I'm basically running this deck to go into like Chaos Ruler and like Zombie Vampire, and milling off your Meizukis is insane, especially because it gives you extension with all your like starters and your extenders. Triple Meizuki is like a must in this deck. If you really wanted to, you could bump it down to 2. What I would do is sometimes I would have to side in spell and trap removal, and I would remove like 1 Meizuki, which is 2 is fine, especially if you're siding in like, I don't know, like a Cyclone. There's places that you can take apart the deck in order to do your side, and I'll show those later. So other than the Meizukis, we were also running a double Necroworld Banshee. Some people say 3. I think 2 is better, because 2 is enough in the sense that if I have to normal summon a Gozuki, I can send a Necroworld Banshee to get my Zombie World live. And if I have like a Unizombie, I can also do the same thing, or like a Chang-Chi. It's also good at 2, I'd say, because of the fact that like sometimes you have more than enough graveyard dumps on like your plays. So what you can do is like you'll dump the first Necroworld Banshee, and then you'll be like, oh, if they have an out for the Zombie World, then I'll dump the second Necroworld Banshee to the grave so that I have follow-up if they out it. And it's pretty useful. 3 would make it more consistent in getting the Zombie World, but I feel like 2 is fine, especially because we're running like 3 Zombie World as it is. Then we're gonna go off into like the big monsters that are kind of like the extenders of the deck. We're gonna be running like the 1 Chang-Chi. I've actually seen this come up a whole lot more than people would like say it can. Sometimes I actually am able to tribute summon this monster on the first turn if I have like an extender. If I have like a useless monster that I don't really care about, then I'll just tribute over it for Chang-Chi, and then it does the same thing like a Gozuki does. But most of the time what I would be doing is if I have like a Meizuki mill plus this, then I'll bring this back, and that's more graveyard dumps. What you can then dump is you can dump the Mad Mauler, and then if Mad Mauler's in your grave, you can target the Chang-Chi, special summon it, and then you have like a 4 and a 2, which can make the new Corpse Dragon, which is also another graveyard dump, which can set up like Baylor or something. So I love these cards. The pairing on these is insane, especially because of the leveling. You can also use Mad Mauler on like a Baylor Drock, because we're running 2 Baylor Drocks, and that gets you into a Synchro 8. The one that you would be going into, though, is Corpse Dragon Felgrand, because Mad Mauler locks you into zombies while it's on the field. What you could also do is use the Mad Mauler plus Baylor to make a Vampire Sucker, which I did have come up sometimes, but I prefer to make like the Corpse Dragon Felgrand so that I can kind of have like follow-up, because I know that my zombies are going to come back the next turn. I'll have ways to bring them back, and it's just like a banish and a negate, which is really good. Besides these zombie monsters, the last 2 that I'm actually running that are like kind of important is like a Glow Up Bloom and a Jack-o'-Lantern. I've seen people say like 2 Glow Up Bloom. I can understand their sentiment. Like I only used 1 every turn. Like I only used 1 on my starting turn, and then sometimes I was really fiending for the fact that I really wish I had the second one. But I don't want to brick too much on the Glow Up Bloom, because I actually saw many times, and unfortunate, it was really unfortunate. I actually had like opening hands of like Mad Mauler, Glow Up Bloom, and then like some useless cards. And this is like a horrible starter in my opinion. I really hate to see this when this happens, especially because they're one-ofs. That's why I'm only running like the 1 Glow Up Bloom, because I feel like as a extender, or like as a way to do your playmakers, I think that's all you need. I really liked Jack-o'-Lantern in this tournament. I had so many turns when I had like a Jack-o'-Lantern in hand plus a Mizuki or something like that. What I really wish I had added to the extra deck was I don't know if there is one, but if there's like a Synchro 7 zombie, I would have probably ran that, because I saw many times where I had like Jack-o'-Lantern on the field, that's all I had, and I had a Mad Mauler in grave. I could Mad Mauler back for like the Jack-o'-Lantern, but then you would just be able to only make like a Synchro 7, for example, and I didn't really have anything else in the extra, except maybe like an Avenged Savior or a Vampire Sucker, but those usually weren't powerful enough to close out games. So I wish that there was like a good Synchro 7 zombie. I don't know if there is one, but that basically covers the zombie monster lineup that I was running for the tournament. I was also running a Danger package where I was running 3 Danger Nessie. I was running a Danger Jackalope, a Danger Tsuchinoko, and I was actually running 2 Danger Mothmans. They came up a lot. I wasn't doing too bad on my Danger mills. One time I milled a Nessie, and then I milled another Nessie, and then I milled a Mothman. I was extremely unlucky and I lost that game. Because the guy was like American Sniper. He hit each one of these, and I just couldn't keep on playing, which sucked. Because I didn't have the monsters to extend out to get to the field. Which wouldn't then that's the thing that would happen. So like if I was to activate Mothman, Mothman dumps a card from my hand, summon out Mothman, draw a card, and then like what I would do is I would tribute summon Chang-Chi, for example. And then that would get my zombie plays going because I could go into Corpse Dragon, send a Mizuki, do the old thing. But in all honesty, if I really wanted to change something out, I was looking for ready fusions before the tournament. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any. Nobody I knew had them. I didn't want to have to buy them off TCG Player because they weren't going to come in time. So if I was to swap anything for like the Danger package, I would swap the 2 Mothman for ready fusions. I'm only running the Mothmans because I don't have the ready fusions, and sometimes it's good because what you can do is like if it discards itself, you draw one, then discard. So you might draw a Mizuki, then discard a Mizuki, and then you can have Monster Reborns. It's really good. But that was the Danger package I was running. And then I was running a small hand trap package. The only issue with zombies is they don't really have the room for hand traps because you're running so many engine pieces. I was running 2 Ash Blossom and Joy Springs. I was running 2 Ghost Bells. And then I was running 2 Ghost Mourners. They're all zombies, which is a plus. The funny thing is sometimes I would actually have a Danger Nessie on the field. Like I would do the Danger Nessie play, and then Danger Nessie to draw 1, and if I drew like a Ghost Mourner and I didn't have a normal summon, I would just normal summon like a Ghost Mourner and then synchro off until Barone. And it was funny because sometimes that was the only play that I had because I would brick. And the fact that they're level 3 is pretty useful, especially with the fact that like Danger Tsuchinoko, Jack, and then Nessie, these 3 cards are just nuts, especially if you don't use your normal summon and you have like a Ghost Girl. Because if you were to Danger Tsuchinoko, then what you can do is Danger Tsuchinoko, normal summon Ghost Mourner, synchro off into Corpse Dragon, and do your Corpse Dragon plays if you have the extenders. Then what you could do, like, so if you went off into Corpse Dragon using Danger Such and Moonlit Chill, what you can do is then synchro off into Corpse, dump Mizuki, Monster Reborn, the Moonlit Chill. If you have Zombie World in your hand, even better, go into Hulk. Hulk to go into a Glow Bloom, then you go into your whole zombie play. So it's pretty good. I think the only reason I was running 2-2-2, because I was originally going to run 3-3 of Ash Blossom and Ghost Bell, but I felt like if I was to draw multiples of these, I would just kind of cry in the sense that I can only use 1 per turn. It's not like a effect veiler. So I chose to do like the 2 Ash Blossoms, 2 Ghost Bells, and 2 Ghost Mourners, and all of them came up. I mean, I never had a time where I didn't use them. The only time I had it was like a Ghost Bell for like Sword Soul. Like the Ghost Bell didn't stop the Sword Soul matchup that I was going against. But yeah, that was the whole monster lineup that I have, including the hand traps. We're gonna get off into spells now. For spells, I'm running 3 Zombie World. I mean, it's the core card of the deck. It's the only thing that makes it function and is the anti-meta card. I wish I had seen Flunder during the tournament. I really would have just destroyed them if I had put out the Zombie World, but I didn't see a single one. And a lot of the other matchups that I went against didn't really get hurt by the Zombie World. Like, I went against Sky Striker and it didn't phase them, which kind of sucked. But we're running 3 Zombie World. We're going to be running 1 Foolish Burial. Of course, it's necessary for the deck. Then we're running 3 Super Polys. I wish that had come up more. Super Poly is really good against the Despia matchup, but I didn't see Despia once. So I was able to get off Super Poly maybe 1 or 2 times during the whole tournament with the Zombie World combo, but besides that, it kind of felt lackluster, especially since I didn't hit any Despia matchups. It didn't phase like Punk Synchro, it didn't phase Tri, it didn't really phase Sword Soul at all, especially because they all have different types and usually they can out your Zombie World before your Super Poly would go off. If anything, I would maybe cut Super Poly out now if you're not in like a Despia heavy meta, If anything, what you could do is you could put like Rivalry in the deck, but it's only good going first. Super Poly is at least good going first and second. I just didn't see any good opportunities with it, unfortunately. Then I was running one Instant Fusion. I ran the Instant Fusion for Allvain, the Essence of Vanity, which is the level 2 Synchro Vanilla, level 2 Vanilla Fusion Tuner. And what you could do is you could normal summon Meizuki and then Instant Fusion for Allvain. Link Synchro off into Corpse Dragon to dump. You already have a Meizuki in Graveyard. You could Synchro, then you could Meizuki, like dump the Necroworld Banshee, bring it back with Meizuki, go into Hulk, then Hulk to bring out Bloom, and you have Necroworld engraved, and you go in your whole combo. As I said earlier, if I was trying to get some Ready Fusions, couldn't get them unfortunately in time. So I would swap the 2 Danger Mothman for 2 Ready Fusions, and then you would basically have 3 extender slots. Instant Fusion saved my butt a few times. I just wish I had the Ready Fusion so it would have made it better. Those are like our power cards, I'd say, or the important cards for the spells. I have 3 cards left in my deck now. This deck is 42 cards, by the way. What I was running was a Called by the Grave and 2 Triple Tactics Talent. I had a... So the weird thing is, if I'm going first, Triple Tactics is good because it stops like it interacts with the hand traps. If I was a normal Unizombie and then I didn't have an extender in hand, and somebody like somebody effect veilered my Unizombie or Ash the dump, what I would then do is like activate Triple Tact, draw 2, and hopefully I would get into a danger. Off the danger, I would hopefully mill it correctly and then be able to just go into like a Hulk or something like that. And it came up. I used a hand rip maybe once during the tournament when the guy only had 1 card in hand. It didn't really do much because he just literally top-decked like... He top-decked like a Fractal and it didn't do anything, unfortunately. I never really stole their monsters much. I just mostly use it for the draw power to extend out, and of course Called by the Grave because zombies get hit by a lot of hand traps. If anything, what I would have done is maybe swap out the 2 tactics for 2 crossouts, but I don't own them. So I was running the tactics instead of the crossouts. But you could do that if you wanted to. But that actually covers the whole main deck. So let's get off into the extra. In the extra deck, we were running a Vampire Fascinator, a Vampire Sucker, a Vendread Savior, Hulk, and Linkaribo. That's all of our Link monsters. Linkaribo being a card that you would use to link off the Gloat Bloom. You summon off Hulk. These 2 are like just buddies to say the least. Sucker is a way so that I can get some draw advantage and continue on linking off for zombies because sometimes you get locked into zombies off the Gloat Bloom. Savior only came up maybe once or twice, but it kind of saved me at times by getting like a Baylor into the grave to continue follow-up. And then Fascinator helped me close out games because what I would do is I would link off into Fascinator using something like the Hulk plus the Glow Bloom. Then Fascinator steal one of their monsters. Then I would from their graveyard, then I would activate Fascinator, tributing herself, and then steal one of their monsters from their field to clear their field. And then sometimes I might be able to synchro off those 2 monsters to go into another, like another boss monster for my extra, and then just attack the game. I liked Fascinator, came up a lot. I'd say maybe 5 out of the 7 games I used Fascinator. And every game I used the Linkaribo, the Hulk, the Sucker, but I didn't always use the Savior. So that's kind of like a flex spot, I'd say. Going off into the fusions, I was running 1 Dragon Necrosoul, 1 Starving Venom, and then 1 Allvain. Allvain being the instant fusion target, and Dragon Necro and Starving Venom being the super poly targets. If you wanted to make more extra deck space and you didn't want to run the super polys, you can basically just cut these 2, so that gives you 2 more extra deck slots. And then Allvain, like if you get the Ready Fusions, what I would do is I would run Allvain plus Sea Monster of Thesis because it's really good. And then you would have 1 extra deck slot to put whatever you want into it. Unfortunately, as I said, Super Poly didn't come up that much, and that was kind of disappointing this tournament, especially because I didn't see any Despia. I'm running 1 XD monster, which is the Zombie Vampire. Funny thing, the 1 or 2 times I did use Super Poly, I actually made the zombie vampire off of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon and Baylor Drock, because Starving Venom's 8 and then Baylor's 8, so I could make the zombie vampire. Came up like once or twice. I like the fact that this is level 8, and I like the Super Poly engine because I could do that, but it didn't come up that much. Zombie vampire milling off 4 from each of your deck, and then being able to Monster Reborn any of them. I love this card. I just wish I had seen it more often. Then we're going to get off into all the synchros. This is what makes the deck function. We're going to be running one Formula Synchron. It's the quick sync off of your Hulk, which gets you a draw 1, which is pretty good because during your opponent's phase, you'll usually draw 2 off of Sucker and Formula Synchron. We're running the Immortal Dragon. New Synchro, Synchro 6. It's a graveyard dump. Can also be summoned off of Hulk, surprisingly. And sometimes people just can't beat over the 2400, especially if it's in like if it's like main phase and they can't really do anything, they can't get out big monsters, they try to attack your Hulk, what you do is quick sync into Immortal Dragon, they can't beat over it, and then they just kind of have to figure out how to get over everything. It's also good because it brings itself back if a zombie monster is destroyed by battle, which is pretty nice. We're also running one Skeletal Dragon Felgrand. That's the Synchro 8 for zombies if you're in zombie lock. We're running the Chaos Ruler, which is a level 8, which is a Synchro 8 if we're not in zombie lock. Then we're running the one Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord, which is the Synchro 10 if we're in zombie lock. And thankfully, about, I'd say a week ago, I had like 5 boxes of Synchro Storm sitting around, and I was going to like just open them, and I was going to open them until I pulled a Barone. And if I didn't, I was going to cry, because I was just planning to open it till I pulled a Barone and then sell the rest. And on the first box that I opened, I actually pulled the Barone, which is was the only reason that I'm running this deck now. If I didn't have the Barone, I definitely wouldn't have taken this to the regionals, because having the fact that you can just have Baylor out, use your Baylor negates, Formula Synchron off your Hulk, draw 1, and then go into another Omni negate, it's just nuts. It's basically like 4 forms of interaction. It came up so often in my duels. And then the fact that it just shuffles itself back to summon out like a Unizombie from your grave. And then what you just do is just Unizombie, boost level, boost another level, and then you can just oftentimes make another Barone, you can just hard make it. I say this card is the best card in the deck. I love having the fact that I can make Barone super easily and super consistently. And that's actually the whole extra deck. So I want to show you guys my side deck I made for the event. I had a feeling there was going to be a lot of Mystic Mine. I didn't want to main deck Spell and Trap because I felt like I wanted to believe that people wouldn't be maining Mystic Mine, or if they were, that I would go first enough or go second enough that I wouldn't be able to see the Mystic Mine, like they wouldn't put it out because they could keep on playing. I was wrong. I got hit by Mystic Mine so many times. But besides that, I built my extra deck thinking about what could I do to out the Mystic Mine. So I ran 2 Twin Twisters, I ran triple Cosmic Cyclone, and I ran 1 Heartbeast Feather Duster. I feel like this was enough Spell and Trap removal on the side. It came up a lot. In a game I played against pure Mystic Mine Burn. I beat him because I sided all this Spell and Trap removal. He beat me game 1, of course, because I just folded because I couldn't do anything without Spell and Trap in the main deck. But games 2 and 3 I mopped him up because it was really easy to get it out. My issue was if I went into like a game, like game 1, if I got hit by Mystic Mine by like a Sky Striker player or something, I would insta-lose unless I could deck them out because I'm playing 42 and they might be playing 40. However, if it gets to the point where there is a deck out, usually they would just combo off and go into like access code. It was dumb. I hated it. Happened to me against a Tri-Brigade player. He normal summoned a Rescue Cat, and then I ashed his Rescue Cat, and he just activated Mystic Mine. And I said, well, okay then. I asked him, how many cards do you have in your deck? He's like, well, I have 35 in my deck. And I said, oh, we're going to go into deck out then, because I have 37. And he's like, there's no way. I'm like, yeah, I'm playing 42. So we just kept on flipping, dumping, flipping, dumping. I got my whole graveyard set up very, very well. Unfortunately, what he was doing was every single time he saw a Necroworld Banshee get to the graveyard, he would banish it with like a DD Crow or like the Called By. So I couldn't get my Zombie World out as like a quick play, and I activated a zombie world, but by the time that we got to the ends of our decks, he basically just made access code by getting rid of my zombie world with a spell and trap removal, and then I lost, which I hate Mystic Mine with a passion. It's the stupidest card in existence, in my opinion. Definitely needs to get banned, especially because it basically forces you to either run a whole bunch of main deck spell and trap removal, because 3 of these isn't enough. If you were running 3 Cosmic Cyclones, that's definitely not enough, because what you could do is if they activate Mystic Mine, you chain Cosmic, and it's like, okay, activate Demise, and it's like, what am I supposed to do against that? I have to find the other Cosmics in my deck, and by that time I would have decked out, or they would have stalled long enough. So I hate it. I didn't like running this in my side deck. I didn't like it at all. It wasn't fun. But besides that, that's all the spell and trap removal I was running, so that's 6 cards for spell and trap. I was running 3 Dark Ruler No More. I didn't use it once this tournament. I was going second sometimes, and I would side Dark Ruler No More going second. I didn't see a single time, and it just never came up in any of my games. And usually I could break through boards just pretty easily with zombies. I just couldn't really do much, and I just never saw it much. I was also running 3 Droll. I expected to see Flunder players, so I sided the Droll. I didn't see any Flunder players, so Droll was kind of useless. Especially against, like, Sword Soul. They only add once, if anything, and they'll save it for, like, the Yugioh or the Mo Yi. If you hit their emergence, I guess. But I hit the emergence once with a Droll, and he had the Long Yuan in hand, so it was dumb because the Droll didn't do anything. And I was also running triple D barrier. People say D barrier is amazing this format. I couldn't get it to go off at all this tournament. I went first a lot of games because I would win the die roll. I'd say I went first half my games. Game 2, if I lost the first one, I would side Dimensional Barrier, especially if it was like a Synchro deck or something. And I wouldn't see Dimensional Barrier. Even with my Dangers, I never saw Dimensional Barrier once, even milling through my deck. I don't know why I was so unlucky this tournament. I bricked a lot. I usually don't, especially because I'm running so many consistency cards. But my side deck, I just felt like it wasn't that well tailored to the tournament, except for all the spell and trap removal. But besides that, that was actually my side deck. I'll do a quick test hand to show you guys like the hands that you can pull with this deck. I think that zombies are rogue. They're definitely not tier 2. They're definitely not tier 1. They counter certain decks. They don't hurt Despia at all, especially unless you're running the Super Poly engine. It hurts Tri Brigade and it hurts Punk Synchro. It sometimes hurts Sword Soul, but I feel like they're still not powerful enough because there's way too much generic ways to just out Zombie World. Especially if somebody's running like a Brave engine, you can just bounce the Zombie World with a Draco back, which was really annoying because it happened to me once. I think it was Brave, Punk, Therion, Synchro, or something like that I was playing against, and it happened to me. But let me give you guys the test hand now. So Mizuki, Baylor, Foolish, Necroworld, Banshee. Well, this is a stinker of a hand, let's put it this way. I usually wouldn't see hands like this during the tournament. I would see something that was a little bit less bricky. If anything, what you could just do is like Foolish Burial. Yeah, this hand kind of sucks. There isn't really much you can do with this. I would just say like normal Mizuki, like Foolish Burial something, and then just like Foolish Burial, Necroworld, Banshee, or just like normal Necroworld, Banshee, Foolish, and Necroworld, Banshee, and then you just have Zombie World, like 2 Zombie Worlds, and if they can't out that, that's fine. I'm also not shuffling that well because everything is in order right now, so I probably should pile shuffle, which I usually would do like a power shuffle between games, but I just want to give you guys a quick shuffle and like a test hand so you guys can get an idea of what like hands you would be seeing. Alrighty, let's see if another one. So Ghost Spell, Danger Suit, Glow Up Bloom, Jack-o'-Bolin, and Super Poly. This ain't a bad hand. What I would probably do is I would basically set Super Poly. So this is the thing that you could do. If you normal summon Ghost Bell now and you activate Danger Suit, no matter what happens, Danger Suit is going to come out and then you can make Corpse Dragon. The only thing that if you want to be risky, what you could do is you could save the ghost spell in hand, activate Dangerous Suit. Hopefully you hit Jackabolin, and then you would be able to do that, draw a card. But if we wanted to play it the safe route, what I would do is like Ghost Spell. I would activate Dangerous Suit, and like I have a 2/3 chance to hit something that I do kind of don't want. I can hit the Dangerous Suit, and that's fine. I can hit the Jackabolin, and that's fine. I don't want to hit the Glow Bloom yet, which is the only issue. So like, let's say I did Dangerous Tsuchinoko, hit Tsuchinoko, special summon Tsuchinoko. That's fine. Now what you would do is you could basically synchro these off into a, oh, where is it? Sorry, that's not my extra deck. What I would do is I would synchro that off into Immortal Dragon. Then what you would do is activate Immortal Dragon to dump a Necroworld Banshee. Then you would activate Banshee banishing itself, and you would activate Zombie World. Then what I would just do is just activate Jackabolin, discard Glow Bloom, summon Jackabolin, Glow Bloom effect, summon out Baylor. And then then you basically have like Baylor, Corpse, Jackabolin. And then what I would most likely do just to end the turn is I would just link off the Immortal Dragon and the Baylor to go into a Vampire Sucker. And then I know that on standby phase of next turn, I'm going to activate Baylor. Baylor will come back. I will draw a card off of Sucker, which is Gozuki, which is not bad. And then basically this fuels my Super Poly that I have set. So from this, I have 1, 2, 3 I have 4 forms of interruption right now. I have a Jackabolin to steal from their graveyard because Zombie World's out. I have a Doom King, Battledrock, Negate, and a Banish. And then I have Super Poly discarding Gozuki to be able to Super Poly their field. So I'd say that's pretty good. This was like the standard hand. Oftentimes I could also get out maybe a Hulk too. So I'd have Hulk, Jackabolin, Baylor, plus Sucker. And that would be I think 6 forms of interaction, because I would be able to just go into Formula Synchron, draw 1, I would get the draw off the Sucker, and then I would also get the Synchro off of the Baylor plus the Formula Synchron to go into Barone. But yeah, that's the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this test hand. I hope you guys also enjoyed the deck profile and enjoyed what you could see of it doing. I wish I had done better, wish I had at least went into like top 32, but unfortunately I couldn't do that with Mystic Mind running rampant in this format. Hopefully, once that card gets banned, I can take zombies back to another regional and then hopefully do better and make my zombies proud. But I'll leave you guys with that, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.